All right, dudes and Foxy Dudettes, I have got one of my good friends, Dave, here with me, and today we're going to talk about horror movies. I love horror movies. I know he loves horror movies, and we're going to pick out some of our best, our most favorite, our scariest movies that we can think of. So before we get started on that, Dave, welcome to the Well-Rounded Dude Podcast. Thank you for being here, and tell my friends out there where they can find you.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much for having me, dude. I really appreciate it. I've been a big fan of the channel for a while. It's been really awesome watching the channel grow, and I love that you're kind of incorporating this, nerdy stuff that I really enjoy into your, your usual content of like helping us, look amazing and look our best. So it's cool. It's very, very cool to find a channel that is incorporating two of my favorite things, men's grooming and being a little bit of a nerd. So it's an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for having me, man. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome here anytime, man. And thank you for the kind words.
Yeah, of course. A little bit about myself. I've been a little bit. Yeah, I've been a little bit of a nerd my whole life. I mean, you know how that goes. You kind of get in there early and then, ride it out through those middle school, high school years, trying not to get not get beat up too bad there. And then once you get out of that, you're all good. And then it's cool to be a little bit of a nerd. So yeah. I've been into this stuff my whole life, specifically horror movies. Really enjoy the horror movie genre. Just trying to get out there and get this ugly mug in front of the camera and the microphone, and just spread some joy to our fellow nerdy community.
Awesome. And you have a podcast yourself, right? Where you talk about all nerdy stuff?
Yeah, actually, yeah. So I've been doing a podcast with my buddy Adam now for about a year now. It's Let's Talk Nerdy Podcast. If you guys want to check it out, we're on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all social medias, wherever you can type in Let's Talk Nerdy Podcast, go ahead and type it in and we will be there. So yeah, super excited about the channel. We do a lot of stuff. We do a lot of video game reviews. That's kind of like our forte at the moment, but yeah, of course we touch on movies and everything like that. So we got to have you on, dude. That's the number one thing, bringing up the podcast. We need to have the well-rounded dude as a guest.
I'll be there. You name the time, the place, the topic, I'm there definitely.
Yeah,
I love your show.
More than happy to have you, dude.
Thank you. I love your show. I love your channel, and guys, definitely check it out. If you love anything nerdy, these guys touch on it, and it's amazing. So without further ado, I think we should get into our list. I'll be honest, I kind of had the idea of the format to be similar to your show with how you guys do it, because I love your top 5 picks and your discussions about it. So, it's friendly. I admit it. We're copying a little bit, but I think if you're going to copy, have the original here to do it too. So,
I mean, guys, ladies and gentlemen, he is being more than generous. He just wanted to keep it to a format that I was a little bit comfortable with, so I don't bomb on this show. Let's be honest.
Oh, you're fine, dude. But being the guest here, I'm going to allow you to have the first pick.
Oh, dude. Okay. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to start the show off with a little bit of a deep cut. But I think if we're talking about some of the greatest horror movies of all time, this definitely deserves a spot on the list. And I am talking about The Leprechaun, which was released in 1993. Have you ever seen The Leprechaun?
I have not seen The Leprechaun. That's one of the... I know. I have never had the opportunity to see it like from beginning to end uncut. That's actually on the list for me to binge this year.
You 100% need to binge that movie.
Okay.
Yeah. Absolutely amazing movie. If you guys are unfamiliar with the movie, the plot is exactly what you would think the plot would be. We are talking about a imaginary leprechaun who, by off chance, has had his gold stolen. And he will be getting his gold back by any means necessary. And when I mean any means necessary, it gets pretty gruesome. It's but the thing about The Leprechaun, though, that I kind of like is it's like there's a couple different types of horror movies, right? And if you look at The Leprechaun as a whole, it's very scary, it's very gory, it's very gruesome. but in a very campy kind of way. You know what I mean? It's something that you're looking at and you're like, this is almost like borderline comedy. You know what I mean? And I think I kind of like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll be honest, like going through the list of like what I picked out to talk about today, I was thinking about that. I'm like, yeah, best horror movies. And I'm like looking at them. I'm like, some people don't find these scary, like some of the things that are on my list. But, you know, first of all, if we were really in those situations, it'd be damn scary.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. People may laugh at it when they watch it on a movie, but be in the real situation if it, if it was to happen. Um, you'd be scared. But that's kind of the charm of these movies. It's the campiness.
Yeah, the campiness. And like you said, if you were really in that situation, you would be terrified. I would give that man his gold back instantly. Like, I'm so sorry, sir. Here is everything that I have. I will help you look for more if this is not all of it. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. My bad. Okay. My bad.
Yeah. But I think if we're talking about it, I would like to put it on the list just because I think it might be a movie that not everybody's seen. And I think if you're into like a little bit more of a campier kind of horror movie, I think that's right up your alley. The person that plays the leprechaun, Warwick Davis, does an absolutely phenomenal job. And many people might not know this, but do you know whose film debut is in The Leprechaun? The first movie they were ever in.
Jennifer Aniston.
The one and only Jennifer
Yes.
Aniston. If you guys want to check out Jennifer Aniston's first appearance in a movie, which is The Leprechaun from 1993, please check it out because she does an absolutely phenomenal job. The movie itself is very, very good. And it's one of those movies that's just kind of turned into a cult classic. So yeah, if you guys haven't
Yeah.
checked out The Leprechaun, give it a shot.
Now, I got to ask, what's your opinion on the sequels?
Oh, okay. So the sequels. So if as with most horror movie genres, The Leprechaun has amassed a bit of a timeline of going far down the chain into sequels. Number 3 was The Leprechaun Goes to Las Vegas, which was hilarious. Number 4 was The Leprechaun Goes into Space, which they kind of just following in line with the horror slasher genre. Of course, he's got to go to space. Number 5, he goes to the hood, which is a very interesting situation. I don't know. I think they all kind of hold up because here, like we talked about, it's when you're looking at a horror movie franchise, right? The thing that people kind of really don't like is the sequels kind of start to fall off the beaten path, right? They start to get campy, they start to get ridiculous, they start to get a little kind of cheesy. And it's like the Leprechaun 1, that's what it was. I mean, it was campy, it was cheesy, it was funny. So there was no real decline because that's how the franchise started. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I honestly think Leprechaun 1 definitely holds up. And I think if you enjoy Leprechaun 1, the remaining sequels are going to be something that you're going to enjoy as well because it's the exact same movie. It's just in different settings.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
There's going to be a million people that now watch Leprechaun 1 and just like completely discredit everything that I say. They'll be like, this guy is ridiculous. This movie is horrendous.
I thought it was going to be deep.
Yeah, no, I promise, guys. It's great. If you're looking for a deep storyline, it's not going to happen. But if you just want a stupid movie that you could just throw on and enjoy for an hour and a half, Leprechaun's your movie.
There are definitely movies like that and time and a place for it. So I'm here for it. Like I said, I probably it's on my list to binge watch. It really was for this year. So
hey, you got to hit me up as soon as you're done and let me know your thoughts.
I will. Given our topic, I think I'm going to like switch it up a little bit because I was going to go with another movie first, but this is going to kind of piggyback off the point we were making before. Jeepers Creepers is my first pick.
Let's go. Phenomenal movie.
Yes. It was very scary. Like when I saw it, now I'll be fair. Think about this. When I first saw it, it's back in the day, way back yonder when we had Blockbuster videos, okay? And I had rented it. And a friend of mine came over, we watched it late at night. And then after we watched it, realized, oh shit, we have to take this back or we're going to get a late charge. So we drove in the middle of the night, back roads to take this movie back. And we passed a house that looked in the dark like the one in the beginning.
Oh no, dude.
I'm not one that gets scared or freaked out easily, but that kind of freaked me out as we were taking it back.
Yeah. No, that would freak me out too. Yeah, and just a real quick point here. Blockbuster Video, for those of you who don't know, was a video chain in which you could rent movies. So we just throw that out there just to make sure everybody knows what we're talking about.
Good point. I forget that, not everybody knows what those are anymore. Although I heard they're trying to make a comeback. I thought they were going to open a store somewhere.
Do you want to know something funny? This is we're going completely off topic right away, but you know something funny about Blockbuster Video? They had a chance to buy into Netflix in the very beginning. Netflix came to them and was like, "We have this idea for a video rental service. We want you to be a partner." And Blockbuster turned them down. Could you imagine? Could you imagine having a share of Netflix money just like poof, it gone?
Yeah. It's crazy. I remember hearing about that and I was just like, wow. You know, I mean, it's funny, like some things are ahead of its time. Like, and again, this is completely off topic, but like nowadays, when we talk about like new shows or movies, most of the time they're streaming first. We're thinking about like, oh, is it going to be on Netflix or Peacock or something like that? And, that's the norm. Years ago, Steven Spielberg had his own internet channel that was like streaming shows like original content, and it failed completely. Like it went bankrupt. So before its time,
It's just goes to show you want to be ahead of your time, but not too far ahead.
Yes, for sure.
But yeah, dude, I love Jeepers Creepers. I think that's a great movie to be on the list. It was really scary. How do you feel about Jeepers Creepers 2 though?
In hindsight, at the time, I remember going to see Jeepers Creepers 2 and I'm like, let's go. Like if this is as good as or even close to the first one, they've got a franchise where, the Creeper was going to be, on par with like Michael Myers or Jason Voorhees or something like that. But I feel that they didn't really stick it with Jeepers Creepers 2. I think that they kind of missed the mark there. I think I like it better now than when I did when I originally saw it, but still, it was kind of a letdown, and it's just gone downhill from there.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you, dude. I thought Jeepers Creepers had a chance to be like the next kind of like running franchise, and then I don't know what they did with 2. They just missed the mark, and it's sad because they didn't swing and miss. You know what I mean? It's like they were close, they were right there, but just for whatever reason, it just didn't hit the same way. And I'm like, oh, this is the death of this franchise.
Yeah, it's like a 2 and done, but then they tried 3 and 4.
Yeah, well, they gotta try, right?
Yeah, but yeah, I think it falls victim to like they kind of took the mystery out of the Creeper with the second one. Like I think they explained a little bit too much. Where in the first one, it was just like, well, what is he doing? Like the scene when he starts flapping wings, all of a sudden you realize, hey, this guy can fly. He doesn't need a truck. Was pretty shocking.
It was pretty shocking, but like out in left field kind of shocking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're like, this is shocking, but not like a twist where you're like, ooh, it's like a twist where you're like, what?
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, that's kind of why I brought it up, because how we were talking about Leprechaun and like, well, you said the sequels, it's pretty much on par. Like Jeepers Creepers, the sequels really let it down. I mean, I think that it's a classic in and of itself, but the sequels just kind of let it go.
Sequels definitely let it go, but number 1 does deserve to be on the list. I will give you that.
Thank you.
You are very welcome, sir. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, with my next pick, I'm going to take it back to more of a normal choice. And of course, we cannot have the best horror movies of all time list without talking about Scream, right? Scream's got to be on the list.
I'll give you that.
Yeah.
I will give you that.
Okay. I feel like maybe you were hesitant on that a little bit.
I looked at it and I was like, should this be on the list? And I kind of was like, I think it's a little campy for me for best horror movies. It's still good. It's still up there, but I was like, I'm going to keep this off the list. But I agree with you. I still think it has a place somewhere. So
interesting. Okay. Guys, I'm talking about the original Scream, which was released in 1996. Obviously, Nev Campbell. I think the movie itself, and maybe this has a lot to do with nostalgia, but 1996, I was 10 years old, probably 11 years old in 1996. And this movie was a movie that I saw in the movie theater. I begged my dad to take us to the movies to see this. So I saw this on the big screen in 1996. And I think maybe the fact that well, I mean, it's 1996, so spoiler alert if you guys haven't seen it yet. I'm so sorry, but I'm about to ruin the whole movie for you.
Every movie we're going to talk about is probably going to be ruined for you. So
okay. So on the off chance that you have not seen the 1996 Scream and you are curious to keep it a secret, please plug your ears. But I think the idea of having two killers was kind of revolutionary for the time.
It was.
Yeah.
Wholeheartedly. Yeah, for sure. It was. And Scream came out at a time when, horror movies were kind of like cliche, kind of like, something that shouldn't be done and kind of laughed at. It revitalized the industry.
Yeah.
I would say it kind of brought it back to making horror movies popular again. Because horror movies kind of have that, they're cool, then they're not cool, and then they're cool again. It goes on and off. But Scream really did that for the genre.
Yeah, and like we said, I think the idea was pretty revolutionary for the time. I think, like you said, it did bring kind of horror movies back into the mainstream for the time, and Ghostface had an immediate impact. You know what I mean? And still has an impact to this day. I mean, we see him, guest spotting in Dead by Daylight. I mean, when I was a kid, that movie came out in 1996. In 1997, like I was Ghostface for Halloween. Like,
Nice,
I had that Halloween costume, it's like that. I feel like that movie kind of made it an immediate impact on the genre as a whole. So
it did. And one of the cool things too, when you think about it, like, Ghostface really has made his way, like we were talking about, like the next horror icon franchise guy, and it's never the same person. But
right.
You have him up there with like Freddy and Michael and Jason, like
that's a very interesting point. Yeah, like the Ghostface character itself has almost taken on its own entity where it almost doesn't matter who's behind the mask. You still treat Ghostface as Ghostface regardless of who it is.
Yeah.
That's a very interesting point, dude. I've never even thought about that.
Well, thank you.
well done, sir. Well done, sir. Round of applause.
Now I got to ask you, how do you feel about the sequels?
I feel like the sequels held up until a certain point. So Scream 2, I felt was very good. Kind of a carbon copy with the dual killers, but interesting that they went with Billy. I'm so sorry. If you haven't seen the Scream franchise, I'm so sorry. Very, very interesting that they went with Billy Loomis's mother as a killer, which was kind of a twist. Yeah, I didn't really see that coming.
Yeah.
Did you see it coming?
No, I
didn't really see it coming. Once you start getting into like 4, 5, the new one, they're kind of falling off a bit. I will say they're kind of falling off a bit, but I think the first two movies are really good. Scream 3 is really kind of where I noticed like this is kind of losing it. This is losing its luster a little bit now.
Yeah. I agree. Now I probably in the minority here. I like the fourth one.
Fourth one's good.
The third one, and there was some stuff behind the scenes of the third one. I guess Nev Campbell was only on set for like a very short time. So
Yeah, there was some issues there.
yeah, so she wasn't really in it as much as she should have been. But the fourth one I really liked. I really liked the twist at the end with it being her cousin
Yeah.
that was doing it. Again, spoiler alerts, but we already gave you many spoiler warnings. So
Just put a big spoiler text, the spoiler alert across this whole episode.
Yeah. But yeah, I really like the fourth one, and the twist of like her just being jealous of Sydney getting all the attention because people tried to kill her 3 separate times.
It's a very interesting mindset to have too, right? Like, yes, Sydney is famous, but she survived attempted murder like what 40 times to get there. It's like,
Yeah.
is it worth it? Is the fame worth it? I don't know.
Yeah, is that really what you want?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
I'm good. I'll be a no name.
But I really did like the sixth one. As also
the newest,
the most recent one. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to say that they're bad movies because I can watch the Scream franchise all the way through. Like, I do think 4 is a good movie. I think 5 is a good movie. I think 6 is a good movie too. But I think that wow factor, that shock factor, after 3, you are kind of expecting it. You know what I mean? Like, you're always, when you go into a Scream movie, you're always kind of expecting that shock factor. You know what I mean? And it plays with your mind while you're watching the movie because you're like, you're watching the movie, but you're watching the movie trying to dissect who you think that shock character is going to be, right? Because you'd be like, oh, it could be this guy, but like, no, it wouldn't be that guy. The shock factor wouldn't be good enough. What would be really shocking is if it was this guy. You know what I mean? And you're kind of like, you're being conditioned to be like, we need that shock moment in Scream. So that's where I'm saying it kind of loses that luster a little bit, but it's still amazing movies.
Yeah. I agree with you there. Okay. For my next pick, I'm going back a little bit further than 96. We're going all the way back to 78. I gotta go with Halloween.
I already knew it was coming.
Yeah. It's my favorite movie. I can't.
The genre itself is so great. And the thing that I love most about Halloween is in the first movies, forget the thrown into the wood chipper and coming back and all that stuff like that. But if you just look at the first movie as a whole, that's probably the closest thing to a horror movie that is like true to life. Like, that really could happen. You know what I mean? I think that was part of the scariness. Now,
agreed.
Like I said, going into the sequels, you get to like 7, you get like 6, 7, 8, and it's like, all right, this dude has been dead 40 times already, and he's coming back to life. But that first movie, that really could have happened. I think that made it even scarier.
Yeah, it really could happen. And I mean, one of the things like a lot of people forget too when they see it is, they usually know like the backstory of Michael Myers, and they know, Jamie Lee Curtis is his sister, and that's why he's trying to kill her. But that wasn't introduced in the original. That was, it was just him seeing her.
Yes.
And just because he saw her, he was, fixated on her. And that's why there's no real reason why.
And it made you think the whole movie of like, why is there this infatuation with this one person? It got the wheels turning where you're like, you're almost trying to like create a backstory, because it's weird to have like a movie character like that doesn't really have a backstory. So like, while you're watching the movie, your mind is almost trying to create one, because it's just like a more comfortable feeling if you like know where this character is coming from. And I think that's a great part about being able to watch the movie for the first time, is you're just like, you're kind of in your own mind creating this backstory for Michael Myers. And it's like, why is he like this? Why is he so infatuated with her? What is the deal with this one house? And you're just like, my mind is spinning.
Yeah. Like what's going on here? And I mean,
yeah,
the sequels I'll watch the sequels anytime. I have my favorite ones, my least favorite ones. It goes on and on. But the original one is really, like you said, it's where the impact of, there's no reason why.
Yeah. Yeah, you're just like, there's no reason why this should be happening to this one person, but I feel like we're gonna find out. Like we're gonna find out why it's this one person. Yeah, and I absolutely love the movie. I think the way that they shot the movie as well was it was less about shock value, right? So if you look at the Halloween franchise as a whole, there's obviously very gruesome moments. I mean, the guy is literally knifing people in the stomach and like lifting them up in the air, but that original movie gave you a very eerie sense. Like the whole movie itself was scary. So like when you're watching a horror movie and you get that like moment, right? And
Mm-hmm.
Halloween, you had that like edge of your seat the entire movie. The entire movie was kind of like that because you're like, anything could happen at any time. You know what I mean? It's not so much about that shock factor. The way that they shot it, it's like no one is safe ever. So you're just always kind of on the edge of your seat, like, oh, is he around that tree? Oh, is he in that closet? Like, oh, is he in the garage? Like no matter what is happening. And I think they did an amazing job just
Yeah.
kind of giving you that tension for the entire ride of the movie.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with everything you said. And I mean, it still holds up now when you think about it. Like a lot of people will be like, oh, that's, movies almost 50 years old now at this point, mid 40s,
Yeah.
but technically almost 50 years old. I'm like, I would rather see something new or something like that. But when you think about it, like it still holds up like that, it still could happen. Granted, with cell phones and stuff, you might last like 5 minutes longer. But it still really does hold up
Yeah, no, it
very
still
well.
does hold up. And if you haven't seen the original Halloween, and I'm sure people have seen the remakes and stuff like that. That the remakes are still good, but if you haven't seen the original Halloween, definitely give it a shot because I think, especially for the time, there's no movie quite like it, especially in the horror genre. I think it
Yeah,
definitely holds up, and I think it's something that still kind of stands out.
I agree
Yeah.
100%.
Fun fact before we move on to the next movie. Do you know the origin of Michael Myers' mask?
Yes, yes. William Shatner,
The
Captain
one and
Kirk.
only Captain Kirk, William Shatner. Yeah, so if you guys watch that movie, the quintessential Michael Myers mask is really just a William Shatner mask painted white, and I think that is absolutely incredible.
Yeah. Also, too, like on set, like they didn't take care of the mask. So like the actor that was playing him, he would like stuff it in his back pocket and smoke and stuff like that. So they didn't take care of it. And they never intended to make Halloween 2. It was just going to be a one and done.
Yeah.
So one of the producers like took the mask, she tossed it under her bed. It it's a latex mask. It was a cheap mask when it was bought then.
Yeah.
So time, she was a heavy smoker, so the mask yellowed, that they had a hard time finding it for Halloween 2. They actually, that is the same mask um from the original Halloween. And
Wow,
the
that's
only reason
incredible.
Yeah, and the only reason why it looks different is because the actor's head for Michael Myers in Halloween 2, he has a bigger forehead. That's why it looks different, but it's the same mask. It's just he's got a big fucking head. So
I think the real question there is what's going on with that producer that you just wanted to take that mask and throw it under your bed. That's the absolute last thing I would want underneath my bed is a Michael Myers mask.
yeah, come to think of it, that is pretty weird. Like of
It's a
all
bit
the things to
strange.
take home.
Yeah, a bit strange. But yeah, guys, if you guys haven't checked out the first Halloween movie, definitely check it out. It's an amazing movie, and I think that's just an amazing choice to have on the list. Very well
Yeah,
done, sir.
thank you. And it's
You are
streaming
very
everywhere in
welcome.
case you're looking, so you can find it very easily.
Yeah.
So,
All right, ladies and gentlemen, my next pick. I don't know how you're gonna feel about this one
okay.
because I feel like this kind of falls into the same genre as the Leprechaun. But we're gonna go back to the kind of campy, funny and we're gonna go with a little Child's Play. Was that on your list, or you hate that movie?
Well, we'll share this one because Child's Play 2 is on my list.
Really? Let's
Yes.
go. Let's go.
I love Chucky.
I love Chucky. It's such an interesting story.
Yeah, and what's cool is, and I did a video last year on reviewing the Child's Play movies. It's the same writer for
Yeah.
everything, which is cool. He's got one of the most consistent stories in all these horror movies, and all
Yeah.
the multiple sequels. I mean, there
Yeah.
are things, of course, things get tweaked or, a little bit, but I mean, for the most part, it's fairly consistent. So I will give you Child's Play. I was having a hard time deciding between Child's Play and Child's Play 2 for this list. So
It's yeah, no,
it's both.
those are very yeah, we're gonna put both on the list. We're gonna put both on the list, guys. So if you guys don't know Child's Play, what we're even talking about, and please fact check me, this might not be 100% accurate. And dude, if this is not the correct story, please stop me immediately before I look stupid. But basically what happens is this guy what is he going down for? He's going down for murder, right? He's a serial killer.
Charles
Okay.
Lee Ray, the Lakeshore Strangler.
Yeah, okay, Charles Lee Ray. So what Charles Lee Ray, he's a serial killer, he's going down, he's about to get caught. And for whatever reason, he knows this like dark magic kind of, I don't know what you call it, but he transposes his soul into a doll that's made for kids. And thus his persona lives on in this doll made for children, and of course he does not turn the corner and become a well-rounded citizen. He maintains his serial killer ways, which makes for a very, very interesting movie.
Yes, dude, wholeheartedly. Yeah, he's into the voodoo.
Yeah, he's into the voodoo. And basically what he's doing, the whole purpose of this movie is like he's using the doll as a rental. Like think of the doll as like a vessel to just kind of hold his soul. His whole shtick is he needs to find another body to transpose his soul into. And of course, he wants to be young when he transposes his soul so that he can, live on forever. And being a child's doll, this is very easy to him. So this doll gets gifted to Andy, the guy, the child's name in the movie. So the whole kind of shtick is he's trying to transpose his soul into Andy's body so that he can get out of the doll and live again. And I think it's just it's a very interesting story. It's a very strange story, but for this type of movie, I think it's great.
Yes, wholeheartedly agree. Yeah, so he wants to get into Andy's body because it's the first person he told his secret to.
Yeah.
So he can't. He needs to kill Andy. He needs to get into Andy's body and send Andy off wherever, so he can live and be a human again. Child's Play 2 picks up a couple months afterwards, and it's the same shtick. But I mean, the difference between Child's Play and Child's Play 2 is Child's Play 2 is really where they, in my opinion at least, is where they found Chucky's humor, his voice, where they made it a little bit more campy. The first one had that too, but that's where you really get the essence of the Chucky character. And fun fact, did you know that they originally were pitching that Child's Play where you weren't supposed to know it was the doll? That was supposed to be a big twist, a big surprise.
You weren't supposed to know it was going to be the doll.
No, you were supposed up to the viewer. They were supposed to think that it could be the child doing it. It was supposed to be Andy. Like it could be Andy doing this thing, doing these murders. And it's through marketing that they revealed they blew the surprise, the twist.
I don't know.
Right away.
I think they made a good shot. I think they made a good decision, dude. I don't know if this movie holds up if you just think it's the kid.
I agree. I think it probably would have done worse if you didn't know. But going into it knowing, I think it helped the movie.
Yeah.
Because it's gone on for 6 sequels and a TV show. Which, dude, Are you watching the TV show?
I'm not watching the TV show. Is it worth the watch?
Dude, it is so worth the watch.
Really?
It is. Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna have to check it out.
For that camp factor, okay?
I'm definitely gonna have to check it out. I don't need much of a push. I was already kind of thinking about it. So yeah, this is my deep dive into the Chucky TV show.
Dude, for sure. Now, and I'm not gonna spoil it for you since you're gonna watch it, but how many of the movies have you watched?
All of them.
All of them? Okay, even Curse of Chucky and okay, even Curse of
Chucky, all of them.
Okay, but you've especially seen the last two with Nina. Yeah. Okay,
yep.
Then you're good to go because the first season of the TV show takes place like 2 weeks after the last movie. Yeah,
let's go.
Yeah,
that's incredible.
Yeah, and
I'm excited.
All the things you love about Chucky are in the TV show. He swears. The gore is up there. It's amazing.
That sounds amazing. No, I'm definitely checking that out. Real quick question though, and okay. we talked about this while we were in the Leprechaun kind of spiel. In this situation, it would indeed be terrifying, right? But I feel like I could take a doll, bro. Like, I'm not a big dude. I'm not like the strongest or the fastest, but like in a street fight against a doll, I think I got that. Like, I think I got that, right?
I would think so too. They do make it a point in one of the episodes of Chucky that he's like, "Oh, you're surprised, huh?" He's like, supernaturally possessed doll, super strength. So he's supposed to be stronger.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like they should have alluded to that more in the movies.
I agree.
Because it's like you want to be scared, but he's so funny, and then also in the back of your mind, you're like, I could probably kick that doll pretty far, you know?
And you think like I could punt him like a football.
Right? You're just like, I feel like I could take him. But if he got the jump on me, who knows? Maybe he gets me.
Yeah, it's Chucky.
Yeah. No. That's I'm glad we both kind of have that on the list there.
Yes.
Real quick, what's the deal with the rights for the first movie though?
Okay, I think from what I understand, one of the studios, I don't think it's Universal, but it might be. They have rights to the title of Child's Play. Mancini, who is the writer and creator of Chucky and the Child's Play franchise, has the rights to Chucky. So that's why the movies switched from Child's Play to Bride of Chucky, Seed of Chucky, Curse of Chucky, Cult of Chucky, TV show Chucky.
That makes more sense.
Yeah. And that's why they were able to get away with the remake, which is not a bad movie. I don't know if you've seen it.
I have seen the remake. Yeah, I was just always curious about what's the deal with the rights to the first movie, because it's like you look for the Child's Play box sets and you're like, oh, Child's Play box set, sick, and then you look at it and you're like, why does it start at 2? Like, none of these box sets have the first movie in them.
Yeah, I agree. I think come to think that it might be MGM or something like that, like has the rights to like the first one or something like that, and just the title and everything. It sometimes the legalese gets in the way of progress.
Guys, come on, let bygones be bygones. Let's get one complete box set of Chucky, please. Can we just get one complete box set? I just want to buy that one, and then we can all go back to being mad at each other over names. Yes, I agree. 100%. 100%. While we're talking about the remake, I think, my personal opinion, what I think they should have done, call it Child's Play if they want, but change all the characters. They could have had that same movie set up but just don't call the doll Chucky. Don't let it be Andy and his mom. And I think the movie would have done better. You think it would have done better?
Yeah.
I don't know. That scares me. I feel like losing the Chucky name scares me.
For the remake.
Yeah, for the
Specifically the
remake.
remake. Okay.
Specifically for the remake. I think because, like you said, they changed the name from Child's Play to Chucky, right? So
Yeah.
it's so influential to have that character be that name. You know what I mean? Even when some people refer to Child's Play movies, they never say Child's Play. They're like, "Oh, you want to watch a Chucky movie?" You know what I mean? Like it's such an
That's
iconic
true.
thing where I feel like maybe if they change the doll to like Charlie or something, like it just doesn't hit. Just doesn't hit right.
I, I could see that. But I
Yeah.
mean, given what they were trying to do with it towards the end, and I say this because have you seen Megan?
Yeah, I seen Megan.
Okay, that's pretty much the remake almost.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I mean that did well. So, granted, a little bit different premise and everything, but I just feel it kind of would have. I don't know. It would have helped that movie a little bit more because I don't think it's a terrible movie, but it's the only one that doesn't have Mancini's. He didn't write it, had nothing to do with it.
No seal of approval.
Yeah, it doesn't have Brad Dourif or Dorif, however you pronounce his name. And it just sounded a little weird for Mark Hamill to be voicing Chucky.
It was a little weird. Yeah, it was a little weird for Mark Hamill, but I mean, honestly, I feel like if you're going to get one character to do it, Mark Hamill probably was your best choice. I mean, you saw
Yeah.
what he did with the Joker and the animated
Oh,
series,
yeah.
and you're just like,
Oh, yeah.
that's probably a good choice. Yeah, no, Luke Skywalker is an okay choice. I'm okay with that.
Okay. That's true. I'll give you that.
But I would be curious to know how the movie would have done with the name change. Unfortunately, we can't go back in time and see how it would go. But
I know.
mean, yeah, let's try it again. I'm sure you'll find some studio out there that will give you a budget to make another Chucky movie, and we can change the name and see how it goes.
Yeah, especially with that story, I thought it was pretty cool, especially how it ended. I'm like, I would love to see more of this. It's not going to happen because as soon as people know it's a remake, you're alienating a lot of people. They're like, oh, it's not going to be as good as the original, and that's not what my Chucky did in his day.
Yeah. yeah, you get that a lot. You get that but I mean, if Megan can make it, there's Charlie can make it too. Charlie can make it too, dude.
Pulling for you, Charlie.
We're onto something, dude. Guys, be on the lookout for the Charlie Play movie. Presented by Dave and the Well-Rounded Dude.
Yes.
But yeah, great, good choice, man. Good choice.
Thank you.
How does that work? I think we both kind of knocked one off the list here. You want me to go to the next one?
Yeah, I'm gonna let you go with your next choice because it was.
All right. I think we're gonna run into the same problem here. But
Okay.
with the next one on the list, we are gonna go back to the 1980s, and I'm gonna take, of course, Friday the 13th. You gotta do it, dude. You gotta do it, right?
Yep, we're gonna do the same thing again. So I have.
So you took two.
Yeah. Well,
let's go.
I don't have the original on here, but I have the fourth one, the final.
The fourth
chapter.
one. Let's go. Yeah, that's a deep cut.
Yes. Friday the 13th, the first final chapter.
It's like that Kiss farewell tour. You're like, yeah, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to take Friday the 13th. I love that movie, dude. I think it's an amazing movie. And I think what's funny, if you go back and you watch the original Friday the 13th, again, spoiler alert, the original Friday the 13th, Jason, the quintessential Jason, is not the killer. It is Jason Voorhees' mother who is the killer in the original movie. And I think maybe if you go back and watch the original movie, you're kind of looking at how Friday the 13th has turned into something that they never really expected, right? So if you watch the original Friday the 13th, I think they just kind of planned for it to be a one-off. Like they never really planned on having a sequel. And the success of the movie was like, okay, we definitely need a sequel, but also we killed off our killer in the first movie. So like, now what do we do? And then somebody had to have this idea of like, well, let's bring her son back from the dead. You know what I mean? And then it's like,
we already kind of did it.
yeah. Yeah, like we already kind of did it. Well, like let's just go for it all the way. And it's like this idea that I don't think was ever really the initial idea going into the first movie has spawned into something so iconic that it's just kind of incredible to watch.
Yes,
Yeah.
I agree wholeheartedly. It's one of my favorite franchises. You know,
Yeah.
it's Jason. Like everybody knows who Jason is. You know,
Yeah.
people may get it mixed up, but they know who he is. You know,
Everybody knows that mask, dude. You can show that mask to anybody and they're like, yeah, I know. Like I get it. You know what I mean? It's
yeah,
just to have something be so iconic. And again, it's like talking about like Ghostface. Like it's not even who's behind the mask. Like the mask itself is like its own entity. Like you see that mask and you just know what's up.
dude. Look what I bought today. You guys at home can't see this, but so I'll describe it to you. It is.
Oh.
It's a hockey mask tin of Jason Voorhees, and it's got little sour cherry candy cleavers in there.
Of course it does.
Yeah, it's a little tin. I got so excited that I had to buy it. You know, it's Jason.
You got to do it. But I think one of the funny things about the second movie too is it's like I've introduced people to the franchise and I'm like, okay, so number one, there's no like it's not Jason, it's his mother. So, you know, don't be disappointed. Number two is where Jason comes in and I'm like, you want to see the first like real Jason movie, and everybody's like, yeah. And then you see Jason and he's like, he didn't get his mask yet. You know, he's got the bag. He's got the bag over his head. Yeah, he just has a bag on his head for the second movie, and people are like, "This isn't Jason." I'm like, "I promise you, it is Jason. He's gonna find the mask. We just gotta wait till the next movie. That's when he finds the mask." You know what I mean? It's
like, just hold on. It's gonna be epic.
Yeah, it's gonna be so sweet. We just gotta make it through these first two movies, and then we'll see the Jason that you know and love.
Yeah.
Which
it's cool because like in the end of the first one, they imply that, you know, Jason did pull her under. Like,
yeah.
And then the body that came out was like a little boy. And then like in part two, then he's like a full grown man.
Yep.
It's like, yeah, I came back from the dead and hit puberty in like a short 2-year span.
I have not only do I have super strength, I have super growing abilities.
Yeah.
Like at this rate, by Friday the 13th 4, Jason's gonna be like 80. And he's like, I'll get ya.
Oh, he's got a button-up shirt and everything. He's like, he's got jeans on.
That's so funny. Just like from number 2 to number 3, it's like, wow, you've blossomed into quite a gentleman.
Yes, I took some fashion tips from the people I killed. I got some jeans. I got a nice button-down shirt. I'm styling, not tucking it in. I got
right. It's amazing. It's so amazing. But yeah,
yes.
It's like that franchise really just kind of like almost defined. You know, it's such a iconic piece of the horror movie genre. I mean, I would be hard pressed to go anywhere and try to find somebody that does not recognize that mask, and to have that kind of impact, especially from a horror genre. You know, the horror genre doesn't get a lot of love in a lot of different circles. You know what I mean? It's almost it's almost kind of off-putting and kind of you know, it's kind of like the outcast of the film industry. But to be that iconic, especially in that genre, is really, really something special.
Yeah. You know, I agree. Like I said, I love the fourth one. That's probably one. I think that's my favorite out of all of them. But I mean, you've got Corey Feldman in there.
Of course.
Yeah. There's lots of eye candy in there.
Yep.
And lots of you know, great realistic deaths. And I say realistic, and what I'm saying is like prosthetics. Like they're actually using. They're not. It's special effects. It's not like computer generated like we get nowadays. You know, it's just actual, you know, special effects makeup, which I love. I'm a huge fan of that stuff. I try to incorporate some of that in my Halloween videos every year. Like have like actual makeup and stuff. So I can appreciate that. And it's actually the one well, the last movie where Jason was kind of like quote unquote human
Yeah.
ish. Because,
Ish.
yeah, even though, because again, it gets a little convoluted. Like, was he really in the, in the lake this whole time? Was he on the beach watching? Because they kind of tried to imply that too, that he saw
Yep.
his mom get murdered at the end of the first one. But like this one, they really do kill Jason.
Yeah.
And he,
It's a death. It's a death, all right.
yeah, and a very cool one. Like with the makeup and everything, how they get him. Like again, spoiler alert, but you should know by now. We're gonna blow up for you. The machete to the face and him sliding down it as he's actually going down. Like that was actually pretty cool. Visually.
Yeah, it's brutal too. It was cool visually, and it's brutal. And I think honestly, like 4 is a really solid choice, dude, because I feel like 4 was the first movie where they really kind of came into their own of who Jason is as the character. So like we talked about it in number 1, it was his mother. In number 2, he was the killer, but he had the bag on his head. In number 3, he finds the mask. But like number 4 is that first quintessential Jason where it was hockey mask from the beginning. They knew exactly what they wanted to do with that character and how they wanted him to act. And I think 4 is a great choice. That's the first time that like Jason Voorhees, as most people know him, that's the first time they kind of put it all together for an entire movie.
Yeah, I agree, and not to say that the other ones weren't, as good or they had their moments in the other ones, like the 6th one, like him coming back to life. And that's when he seemed to be more like a zombie-ish type of character, like super strong, and lightning brought him back after over a decade of
I mean, we've had all the quintessential horror genre, horror storyline. Sorry, choking on my own words there. Jason in space, yeah. Jason in Manhattan, just a weird locate. You know what I mean? Like we've had it all.
yeah. Every stereotype he's done.
Yeah, no.
So I think you couldn't have a list like this without Jason. I think you would agree with that, right? Yeah.
I think if we didn't put Jason Voorhees and the Friday the 13th franchise on this list, we would get discredited so fast.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no, it's a great franchise. I think it's a solid pick. Very, very, very solid pick, dude.
Thank you. Same with you.
You are very welcome.
All right. I'm gonna let you go again because again we agreed on that. So
yeah, okay,
we both did it. So
we might be in agreement one more time, but I think this is a great segue because one of my favorite moments of Jason has a lot to do with this next character that we're talking about. And when the Freddy vs. Jason movie came out, and I saw that trailer, and I saw on that dock ready to rock, and you get the Wolverine pose out of Freddy Krueger, and he is, oh dude, when I first saw that, I was like, my life is complete after seeing this movie. So of course we have to include the one and only Mr. Freddy Krueger. Nightmare on Elm Street needs to be on this list.
Okay, all right. Freddy versus Jason, yes, I am here for that. Yes.
Let's go. Let's go.
Yes. That's got to be on here. I agree with you. I agree with Freddy Krueger. I have a different movie on mine, so it's a sequel, so we'll share this one as well. I have Wes Craven's New Nightmare.
I love New Nightmare.
Yes.
I think that was really well done.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think that movie gets credit. I don't think it gets enough credit for how good it is.
I agree. And especially for the unique story. The unique storytelling. I'm going to let you go first. Like I said, I'm going to let you go first. So you talk about a little bit more about Nightmare on Elm Street because I love it. So I'm down for it. So, and then we can talk about New Nightmare because I think it's a good segue.
Yeah, of course. Of course, Nightmare on Elm Street needs to be on the list. This movie was released in 1984. 9 movies in the franchise. I honestly think all of them are really good. Now you can jump around to the franchise and be like, "Oh, 3 with the Dream Warriors is kind of weird," or that they obviously have their quirky offshoots. But I
Yeah.
think the idea of Freddy Krueger as a whole is absolutely terrifying. And if you guys don't know anything about Freddy Krueger, the way that Freddy Krueger works and the reason why it's called Nightmare on Elm Street is that Freddy Krueger exists in what is known as a dreamland. And the way that Freddy Krueger kind of gets to you is that you need to fall asleep. And when you fall asleep, Freddy Krueger can interact with you in the dream state. But if you die in the dream state, you die in real life. And I think that this is absolutely terrifying because I don't know how long you've tried to stay awake for, but you cannot stay awake for forever. You
Yeah.
just can't. You know, you just can't. You will eventually fall asleep. And that notion that and you see this all throughout the movie where these kids are trying to stay awake for like 3 or 4 days. They're pounding coffee. They have headphones on, blaring music. It's like, you can try, but you can never escape falling asleep. You will eventually fall asleep, and then Freddy's going to get his chance. And I think that concept, just to create that concept and put it into a horror genre, is just like Wes Craven, dude. Well done, well done. It's such an interesting story, and something that's really avoidable and not something that's not avoidable in real life. So I think that kind of weighs on you when you're watching the movie too.
Yeah. Uh, Agreed. 100%. Did you ever hear how he got the idea for Nightmare on Elm Street?
I did not, but I am so curious to learn right now.
So I'm going to say this, and I'll qualify it a little bit later, but it's partially based on a true story.
No way.
Yeah. There
Oh
was,
my God.
yeah, there was a kid, I forget where he was. And this is easily, anybody who doesn't believe me, you can Google it and find out, but he was having trouble sleeping. Like, he was having night terrors, scared to death. And he basically stayed up, and he was telling his parents, like, every time he closed his eyes, he was scared to death. So he wouldn't sleep. And he lasted a week, and they went to wake him up or, get ready for school or whatever. I forget how old he was, but they found him dead.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's so terrible. Oh my
Yeah.
God. What happened to him? Do you know what happened to him?
I think they said it was either between, like, he was scared to death or, from like lack of sleep. Like, he just was like,
Oh, okay. That's terrifying.
So-
I didn't know that was a real story.
yeah. So basically how all the characters act in the movies, like once they see Freddy, like, gotta chug coffee, gotta stay awake, he did this.
Yeah.
And he didn't make it.
That's awful. That's so sad. I think it makes it even scarier though, knowing that it's kind of like almost based on a true story. And I think Freddy has the same feel of like Jason Voorhees and like a Chucky. It's just or a Ghostface. It's such an iconic character. Like,
Yeah.
you see that hat, you see the burned face, you see the claws, like you see that red and green sweater, all of those things, and you're just like, I know that. Like, I know what that is. You know what I mean? And it's like,
Yeah.
such an iconic presence in the industry.
Yeah. Like, even, it's so hard to, for somebody else to play him, they tried.
Yeah,
with the
they
remake.
tried. Yeah.
But, it's between Robert Englund and just the character itself that just a match made in heaven,
Yeah. Yeah. It definitely is. Robert Englund nailed it. And I think Robert Englund's like quirky humor, because Freddy does have a little bit of that kind of quirky humor to it,
Mhm.
but it's so much more darker than like a Chucky. Like, his jokes, the Freddy Krueger's jokes, you're just like, okay, that's quirky humor, but also like that's kind of messed up.
Yeah, for sure. 100%.
Yeah.
100%. And unlike some of the other ones, like Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees, they do this a lot with both of the characters. They try to make them a little sympathetic sometimes.
Yeah.
But that you can't do that with Freddy. Freddy is straight up evil.
Freddy does not care. Freddy doesn't care about anything.
Yeah. He's twisted. So, but Yeah. So while you've got the original Nightmare on Elm Street on yours, I've got Wes Craven's New Nightmare. What I love about this movie is the story, first of all. Of For those that don't know, they got all the actors, or most of them, to come back for a sequel 10 years after. Believe it's 10 years, right? Like yours was
Yeah, 10
84. Yeah.
years. Yeah,
Yeah.
10 years, I think.
Yeah. To come back for a sequel. But they play themselves in real life. And the story behind it is that now that the movies have ended, uh, this ancient evil was trapped in the story. He gets trapped in stories, and he was trapped in A Nightmare on Elm Street, the film series. With the series over, he's free, but he likes being Freddy, and he goes around terrorizing the original cast. And it's very unique in all of the Friday the 13th movies because this Freddy has a fifth claw in his hand, on his thumb.
Yep.
It's still played by Robert Englund, but there are a few quips here and there, like, hey, Dylan, you ever skin a cat? Stuff like that. But it's still at a minimum. It's nowhere near like some of the other ones. And it's a very creepy way to think about, this evil got trapped in a story and now it's free.
Yeah.
So
I think it's an incredible story, and I think it's very creative because you look at that and you're like, well, okay, is this a true sequel? Is this a reboot? Is this a remake? Is this just like a completely new storyline? And you're just like, all of these thoughts kind of going through your head when you're looking at it, and you're like, this is just like, forget what you want to quote unquote label it. It's just a really interesting story and a very creative way to put like a fresh take on an older franchise.
For sure.
Yeah.
And, especially getting, I'm a stickler for having like the original cast come back for something, especially so many years later, and have like, Heather Langenkamp and John Saxon back. I was just like, oh, this is really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's cool to see them like age too. Cause, like Nancy has like, she's obviously older, and you're just like, okay, like I feel this, you know what I mean? Like having the original cast come back and just have that like obvious progression in time where they look older, you're like, okay, this is much more plausible. You know what I mean? Like it's very interesting. It's a very creative idea, and they did it right by having the original cast come back. And I feel like if we had a different Nancy in that movie, it just doesn't hit right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah, I 100% agree.
I think it was incredible that they brought the original cast back. Also, while we're talking about the original cast, I want to jump back to the original movie real quick. Do you know who is in the original movie? That has since gone on to be one of the biggest movie stars in the history of the planet.
Mr. Johnny Depp.
Mr. Johnny Depp. So yeah, guys, if you guys have not seen the original Nightmare on Elm Street, give it a chance. If you don't want to watch the whole movie, just fast forward to a part where you see a waterbed, and you will see a very, very young Johnny Depp making one of his first film appearances. Yeah, and it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
He came back for a second one too, for I think it was the last one, the Freddy's Dead.
Yeah,
he was in it very briefly.
Yeah, he did a little cameo appearance, but
yeah,
it's cool, man. It was cool to see him in there, and you're just like, is that a young Johnny Depp? That's a young Johnny. Oh, he's dead.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a classic scene. One of the funny things about A Nightmare on Elm Street, the series, was that they had a lot of big actors in them.
They did, yeah.
Patricia Arquette was in the third one. Lawrence Fishburne. They really had some people in there,
which is interesting for a horror franchise, because it's like, so some of the best horror franchises, you're just like, who is that guy? You're like, I don't know. He's only ever done this series. It's like,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So,
I saw him once.
It's cool. Yeah. It's cool.
I never saw him again afterwards. I mean, that was one of the differences between the Nightmare on Elm Streets and the Friday the 13th, is that like Nightmare on Elm Street always like got a little bit better. critical reception than
Yeah.
Friday the 13th. So
Yeah, I think that I don't want to throw shade on Friday the 13th, but if I really
yeah,
had to pick one, I would say Nightmare on Elm Street was written a little bit better. The storyline just a smidge better, but yeah, both absolutely iconic characters. I mean, put Freddy and Jason next to each other and show that picture to anybody you want, and I guarantee you they'd be able to pick them out, both of them, without issue.
yes, and Freddy versus Jason. I think it doesn't get the recognition it deserves. I think.
I don't think it does either.
I,
I know no true winner was actually crowned in the movie, which was kind of like what people were upset about. Whereas, like, did anybody actually win? But like, I feel like they did. I feel like there was kind of a clear winner there, don't you?
I, yeah, I mean it. You know, it could have been a completely different turnout for different circumstances, and so a sequel could have changed things up a little bit differently too.
Yeah,
So it was one of those things like, yeah, okay, you can say, well, we are going to spoil it. You could say that Freddy lost, but the movie kind of like alluded to, like, hey, he's still around, so he could get the upper hand the
yeah,
next time.
yeah. Because I'm so glad that you said it because I just didn't want to spoil one more movie for everybody. But yes, in the movie, I do feel like Jason was the clear winner. But and I know people are upset, being like, well, nobody really won. Like Freddy's still there. Like I didn't go into the movie expecting this to be like the death of an iconic character. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? I didn't go into it being like, oh, Freddy and Jason go into the octagon and only one man survives and we'll never hear from the other character again. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, okay, obviously they're going to have one person kind of win, but like, they're both not going to die. Like, they're not going to kill off either of these franchises. So that's what I went into. I went into that movie expecting exactly what I got. And I was like, oh, snap. Jason won the first, like, round one went to Jason. Let's go. Let's make some more Freddy versus Jason movies. And then it's like, people were angry and then we never got any other ones. It's like, if we weren't also angry at the first one, maybe we got round two and Freddy won.
yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I know they made some comic books on that. I don't know if you've ever read those or like heard what the story was.
Yeah, the comic books are actually sweet.
Yeah, I didn't get to read them, but I read like the plot synopsis and figure out like what happened. But
Yeah, no, the comics are pretty sweet. I mean, but as a comic franchise, they just keep it going. So it's
of
it's kind
course,
of this everlasting war,
yeah, always and forever.
always and forever. But yeah, great choice, man. I think Nightmare on Elm Street definitely deserves to be on the list.
Yeah, another one that if we didn't have on here, there would be no credibility to this list. So we had to have
Right,
those
yeah.
on there.
Had to be on there. Okay.
Yeah.
So I think should I go again? Because I feel
Yeah,
like we
I'll let you
agreed
go
again.
because we
Good.
we both agreed on that. So
Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is where we might disagree, and I'm not gonna be 100% sure about this, but I'm gonna go probably the earliest movie on my list. No. Okay, the second earliest movie on my list, and I'm gonna go 1974. We're going all the way back. I am Leatherface, a little Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Was that
okay.
on your list?
No, it's not. I don't have any
No,
of
it's
the.
not.
No, it's not. I don't have any of
No.
the Texas
Okay.
Chainsaws on here.
Okay. Guys, if you guys don't know, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, again, came out in 1974. And I think why Texas Chainsaw Massacre is iconic is because for the time that it came out, it was borderline unacceptable.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many people, if you haven't seen this movie and you're into the horror franchise, check it out. And keep in mind the time that this came out in 1974. People were still kind of what's a good way to say this? Proper. There was still this like level of like, what a social norm acceptability was, and for the time it was much more strict. So when this movie came out, this movie caused uproar of how violent and how graphic and how just deranged this movie was, to the point where people were like almost boycotting the movie, saying like, how dare you make something like this and put this out for an audience to see. And I think it is obviously turned into a cult classic, but I just think for the time, like the gall to put that movie out at that time makes it pretty iconic.
Yeah, I'll give you that. Yeah, for sure. There,
Yeah.
like you were saying, at the time, people weren't, horror was like they would show you things and leave it to your imagination, so you had to figure it out, or you wouldn't see the bad guy or the creature or the actual murder. You would just see like a shadow or something. But this was like very visual. And
Very visual. Yeah.
yes,
And a lot like we were talking about that, the horror movies of that time, it was like that was kind of right after the time in like the late 60s where the horror movies would always just be like it'd be like like a loud noise, and then you'd get a close up of like a woman just being like and then you'd see a shadow, and then it would cut to black, and everybody would be like, oh my god, that was so scary. And then fast forward like 5 years later, and you literally have Leatherface just like full chainsaw, like just craziness. And for the time that came out, I was just like, oh my god, like that's so risky, and it's just like good on them for being like, we're gonna put this movie out, and see what happens.
yeah, for sure. And again, he's one of those characters that you know, I I would wager like if you showed like a picture of him, because he has had some different looks, Leatherface. People
Yeah,
may
Leatherface is
may not recognize him right away, but I still think he has his place at the table with Michael and Jason and Freddy and Chucky and Ghostface.
yeah. I mean, I probably wouldn't put him up on the Jason Freddy pedestal, but yeah, I mean,
He's
definitely deserves to be
he's in
there.
the room. He may not be
Yeah,
at the table, but he's in the room.
he's in the room. Yeah, yeah, Leatherface is in the room for sure. And one of the scariest things about Texas Chainsaw Massacre is it's not inspired by a true story, but it's inspired by true events. And basically what they based this movie on was the serial killer Ed Gein. Um, and I don't want to get too much into that because that's absolutely insane and horrific. But yeah,
Yeah.
if you guys want to know the origins of this movie, do a little deep dive on Ed Gein and see what he was all about, and then you'll understand some of the thought process of this movie and why it is so terrifying and horrific, and such a cult classic that I felt needed to be on the list.
I'm glad it is on the list. I agree with you. It should be on the list. Fun fact about the ending of the original. I don't know if you know this, but the scene when he's like swinging his chainsaw at the truck.
Yep.
And you see it hit.
Yep.
Did you know it really hit?
Yep.
It was real.
Yeah, that
He
really
slipped.
hit.
Yeah. And at the scene, like where at the dinner table, like he actually cuts your finger with a razor.
Yeah.
Like it was insane.
Yeah, it's very, very insane. And the funniest part about that is they wanted him to do most of the scenes with the chain off, and he refused. Do you know that?
I didn't know that.
They wanted him to do most of the scenes with the chain off, and he said that he refused to do it with the chains off because if he was going to play the character, he wanted to do it right, and he thought people would see that the blade wasn't actually moving, and it just wouldn't strike that same level of fear if they had the chain off. So good on him for wanting to be like a pro, but also like, yeah, you took a chainsaw to the leg.
Yeah. I mean, I think he's kind of right though. Like, you may not notice.
Yeah,
but you may notice
I mean,
it. I agree.
Good on him, dude. I agree because yeah, people will know that. Some people won't, but some people will be like, blade's not moving. You know what I mean? And he just really wanted to make sure that all the finite details were taken care of, and I think that's really, really cool.
Yeah. Now, how do you feel about the sequels and the remake and the remakes?
The sequels and the remakes, honestly, I feel like are they're pretty good. I feel like they're pretty good. I feel like they hold up because, like we talked about with the Leprechaun, it's like they didn't stray too far from the beaten path. There's not much difference between the original movie and the sequels and the remakes. Um, it's always been kind of a very quirky, kind of weird, kind of really messed up movie. I don't think they had to stray too far away from the beaten path to remake that movie. So I honestly like them. I think they're good.
Okay. Wholehearted. I I personally I do love the remake, the one with Jessica Biel, the
Yeah,
2003 one. That
yeah.
I think that's pretty good. And I like the prequel they did to that one, the one with
Oh, the prequel was good too.
yeah. Uh, I thought some of the sequels to the original were kind of okay. I mean, there's a scene in the third one that I love where he's got like a child's toy and it's like he's supposed to spell out like woman or whatever and he's like spelling out FOOD and it's like it's wrong and he's just like huh? And he keeps doing it and he like gets pissed and like smashes it. I love that. I thought that was very funny. Did you see
Yeah,
the most recent one that Netflix came out with?
I did not know.
Um, it's there.
I was waiting.
Yeah.
I was waiting for your reaction.
They tried to do like a Halloween 2018 with it. They tried to like
Uh,
a direct sequel to the original, and he comes up against Sally again, and the problem is that the actress who played Sally passed away years ago, so you're getting somebody else to play Sally, and it just doesn't work. That kind of intensity that you're supposed to feel, like seeing Jamie Lee Curtis 40 years later with Michael Myers, like that
yeah.
was pretty cool. You don't have that here. It's in my opinion, they probably should have just skipped that part and just try to figure something else to do, because it doesn't work in my opinion. But
Yeah, all new storyline or something. I don't know. Like we just talked about it with Nightmare on Elm Street and seeing Nancy again after 10 plus years and like seeing that age and a lot like what you said with Jamie Lee Curtis. Like it really does matter. It matters if you're a true fan of the franchise. So
yes,
yeah, they probably should have just left that one alone. Or new
yeah,
storyline, maybe all new storyline. Just kind of
yeah,
skip that idea altogether.
yeah. Like don't bring Sally back. And plus, it was weird because she was like the first time they introduce her, she's like gutting a pig. It's like
Interesting.
yeah, the actress that played her. Let me see. I don't know if you've ever seen Wrong Turn. You've seen Wrong Turn?
I think I have. Yeah.
It,
What was that movie about?
it was about the backwards inbred cannibals in Virginia.
Yeah. I think I remember. Like, I remember seeing the. That this is funny. We talked about Blockbuster already. I remember seeing the box art at Blockbuster.
Yeah, which it's not a bad movie. I mean, for what it was, what it is, and at the time. But one of the main inbreds that they keep bringing back, and I say inbreds because that's what they were. They were constantly doing each other in the family. So they had like a nickname for it, like Shrieker or whatever. Like it would always like kind of like laugh and kind of had like a grin on, like a Joker type grin. Anyway, the
Yeah.
actor that played that one, they had play Sally in this one, and you can just like kind of see it. I'm like, that's just weird.
Yeah. It just feels weird.
Yeah.
I feel like
So
once you do one of those movies, you're just like, I don't know.
yeah, I hate typecasting, but sometimes it's
Sometimes
just
you
weird.
just can't unsee it, dude. You just can't unsee the character as the character. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. But that's a good pick, dude.
Thank you, dude.
Texas
Yeah, if you
Chainsaw.
guys have not seen the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre from 1974, give it a look. I think it's definitely worth the watch, and it still holds up today.
Yes, for sure. Okay, next on my list, we're gonna do something a little bit different. We'll go with Hereditary.
I don't think I've ever seen that movie.
Oh, dude, you got to see Hereditary.
Please enlighten me. Enlighten me. I'm learning a new movie today, guys. I'm super excited.
I kind of feel bad because if I going into detail, there's a lot of detail in this movie. It takes multiple viewings if you can handle it. There's a lot of people that really can't.
It's that bad.
Yeah,
Oh
it
my
can
God.
be. It's about this family. Okay, they're completely dysfunctional, and they are. I hate to spoil it for you, dude, but
Do it. Do the deep dive. I am not a spoiler guy. I am totally fine going into a movie knowing what's gonna happen.
okay. It's about a family completely dysfunctional. Um, the their mothers. So the kid's grandmother has passed from the mother's side, and it starts off with them like at her funeral. I've only seen it once, so I may get some details mixed up, but this is basically the gist of the movie. If you're so, everybody's kind of looking at him weird. They're really interested in the youngest daughter, who's on the poster on the cover of the movie. Her name is Charlie, and they're just like really interested in her, and just like looking at her, staring at her, very weird. And it cuts to realizing that the mother has some issues going on with the father. She makes their son take the daughter out while he goes to a party. He goes out, he tokes up, and the daughter eats like nuts or something, has an allergic reaction. He's got to rush her to the hospital. As he's rushing her to the hospital, she's like sticks her head out the window, and an animal runs out in front of him. He slams on the brakes. You know where this is going.
Go ahead.
Okay. So he goes into shock. He just goes home and goes to bed. The mother goes down to find what's in the back seat of the car. And she gets upset.
Obviously.
Yeah. The family gets even more dysfunctional. She turns to this friend that she makes at a Target, where she goes to like a seance so she can talk to her daughter.
Oh no.
Yeah. And things go from bad to worse. She starts seeing things. Come to find out, her mother, it's Toni Collette. You know who Toni Collette is, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So her mother was in a Satanist cult.
Oh my God.
This friend is part of the Satanist cult. This was all a trick to get them to like bring this demon into their house.
Oh my God.
And what they really want is the son. And how it ends, it's like completely insane. Like the mother ends up like getting possessed by the demon to try to kill her son. She ends up killing herself with like piano wire, like taking it and like trying to take her head off.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
And you find out that all these Satanist cult members have been in their house the entire time.
Like hiding in the house?
They're just in the house and they're like naked. They come out there like naked and they're just like, they want her son to. I'm skipping over a lot of details because you got to see it to really experience.
Like a sacrifice. They want the son as like a sacrifice to the demon.
So the demon has to be in a male child.
Oh no!
So they want him, and he's in the end. He like jumps out the window to like get away from everybody because now everybody's dead. Like his his mother's dead, his father's dead, his sister's been dead. He jumps out the window. And you can kind of see like where he dies and he gets possessed by the demon and he goes up into like his clubhouse where like a whole bunch of other people from the movie that you've seen as side characters are in his tree house, like naked and worshiping at an altar.
Oh my God. This is intense.
And they're like, oh, hail I think his name was Pagan or something like that. Hail, and they like give him like a crown and everything. It's like, dude, it's intense. Now, when you watch the movie again, when you can hear, like, in the beginning when they're coming back from the funeral, you hear footsteps in the house because they show you like the house before they get in,
Yeah.
and you hear like the footsteps. So it's like a whole bunch of build up for the ending. It's bonkers.
Guys, I think you just won the draft, dude. I think you just won the draft. That's insane. That is insane. That is an insane movie. I will 1000% be watching that movie.
It's on Max if you're interested.
I'm watching that movie. I'm 100% watching that movie. Ah, dude,
And
how weird though, at the beginning, the part with the decapitation out of the car, you just go to sleep? You just go to sleep after that?
yeah, he was like freaked out. He's just like, I realized what he did, and he just like went home. Another twist in the movie too is that you realize that like the grandmother who they went to her funeral in the beginning, like I said, she was like the head of this cult. She was prepping the little girl that died.
Oh my god. That's crazy.
And they again, I'm sure people listening to this are going to be like, I completely explained that movie wrong and I didn't do it justice. I'm kind of doing that on purpose because I really want you to see it. It's really a creepy movie.
I'm curious now to like watch the movie twice because it's like when you go, do they do the funeral scene? Do you see the funeral scene?
Yeah.
In the movie?
Yeah.
I wonder like how many like little Easter eggs of people are at that funeral that are like end game.
Yeah.
Is it like that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah. Not only that,
sick.
but like the kids, the boy, when he goes to school, his friends, they're in the treehouse at the end.
Oh, they're in the cult too, the other little kids?
Yeah.
Oh my god. It's insane.
All these supporting characters and people you see in the background you may not even be thinking of. They're like, you gotta, it's one of those things you gotta like watch multiple times to like catch every little bit.
That's crazy, dude. I'm 100% watching that movie. You have won the draft. You have won the draft, ladies and gentlemen. The draft is over, dude. You have won. So, all right. Well, I mean, I guess we'll continue on, but even though there's no need, ladies and gentlemen, the next movie on my list, I'm going to go back to the earliest of earliest movies that is on my list, and I'm going to go with The Exorcist, little Linda Blair. Dude,
That's fair.
movie. I was a horror movie junkie as a kid, right? I loved watching horror movies. That was the one movie that I remember from being a kid that I turned off and stopped and was like, I cannot watch this. I can't. It's too scary. It's too scary. I cannot watch this movie. Everybody knows the scene with the head spinning around and the puking and stuff like that. Dude, when I saw that, I was just like, nope, no. That was a movie that I needed to grow up to watch that movie, and I knew it. I knew it as a child, so like, yeah, I gotta put The Exorcist on the list. Insane movie.
It is really good. It's a classic for a reason. I just love the fact that you'd be like, yeah, I am not old enough to watch this. Click.
Nope. I remember it. I remember it because it's like I had a TV in my room, which I thought was super sweet, and we had HBO when HBO was on Channel 5, and The Exorcist came on, and I was like, oh, sweet, horror movie. I've never seen a horror movie. And I got my little popcorn and my pink lemonade, and I'm laying in my room, and we got about maybe 35, 40 minutes into that movie, and I was like, I am not old enough to watch this movie. And then, boop, right to cartoons.
Dude, that's a great pick. It's valid. How do you feel about the sequels?
Sequels are okay. I feel like the first movie was so good, and just so well done that I don't know if any sequel or remake will just live up. And again, it could be nostalgia because like I said, I had a very unique experience with that first movie, but just me personally, I don't know if any of the sequels and remakes to come or whatever are going to hold up to that original feeling.
I agree with you on that one. It's one of those movies that everybody says it's good. They love the original. It's going to be hard to top it. They can do sequels now. I mean, I saw Believer. I don't know. Did you see Exorcist Believer yet?
I did. Yeah, I saw Exorcist Believer.
What did you think?
I thought it was good. I didn't think it was bad, and I know there's a little bit of backlash about the movie. I don't think it was a bad movie, but I think, a lot like we talked about is just they have so much to live up to. You know what I mean? It's like
Yes.
it's almost selfish to think that they're gonna kind of like be able to recreate the magic that happened in that first movie. You know what I mean?
Right.
So and I went into it that way. I went into it knowing like this is not going to be like I'm not going to get that same feeling. That same feeling of me sitting in my room alone being so afraid that I could not finish the movie. Like I'm not going to get that feeling right now. And I kind of went into the movie thinking that. So I thought it was okay. I thought maybe it got like a little bit of a bad rep that it didn't deserve.
I agree. I have just recently watched the original Exorcist. I watched it because I knew I was going to go see Believer, and I'm like, I should probably watch it before I go. But going into seeing Believer, I was like, this may not be all that great, but I found myself like really invested in the story.
Yeah.
There was some dialogue in there that I thought was a little bit weird, like her blaming the patriarchy for her not letting her be in the room with her daughter's exorcism, which
Yeah.
is kind of silly because I don't know if she remembered, but both of those men died in that.
Yeah.
They died in that. So maybe it wasn't the patriarchy why they didn't want her in the room.
I think that was like a little bit of a whoops moment in the script, but we just kind of like overlooked that.
Yeah. But I really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to the next two sequels because there's supposed to be two more. So
Yeah, they did sign it on for a trilogy, right?
yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm excited for him. I think the first movie was good. I just but I went into it just like Freddy vs. Jason. Like I just went in with different expectations, I think, than most people did. And if you go in with the expectation of like, no, that you're not gonna recreate that same feeling, um, and that's okay. It doesn't have to give you that same feeling to be good. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
that's something that I think maybe people overlook every once in a while. It's like, is it truly not well done, or is it just not what you expected?
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
yeah. You, because they would complain if it's the other way. Like, oh, I saw it coming. It's just
Yeah.
like the original. You're gonna complain either way. So, but yeah, that Exorcist is a very good choice, man. It's a classic.
Thank
It's a
you.
classic for a
Thank you,
reason.
dude.
You're welcome.
I got a lot of work to do after Hereditary. So let's hope my list is just full of bangers from here on out.
I'm sure you'll do just fine. On my next one, I have got. I like this one for different reasons. Have you ever seen Hatchet?
I have.
I love Hatchet.
That's a deep cut, dude.
Yes.
Let's go. I
Okay.
love that movie. I think it's a great movie.
It is.
Yeah. Go ahead and spoil it though. Give a little synopsis because I'm not sure how many people have seen Hatchet.
Yeah. So the story is of Victor Crowley. His father and him lived in a swamp. They were ridiculed because the son was deformed, I think is how it went. And they used to torture the kid, and I think they set the house on fire. It's been a while since I've seen it. So set the house on fire, and the father was able to scare them away, but he was trying to break in to save his son, and he used a hatchet on the door. He didn't know his son was like right up against the door, and hatchets him in the face. And
Brutal.
Yeah.
Just brutal.
Yeah. So now you can hear in the swamp, it's a cursed part of the swamp, you'll hear Daddy, which sounds terrible. Forgive me, but that's what happens in the movie.
Get ready for that sound clip to go viral on TikTok.
Yeah, right? You're my witness. You saw the movie. You know what happened.
I know it happens. I know it happens. I will back you up, bro. I will back you up.
So now, very similar to Jason Voorhees, which same actor, Kane Hodder,
Yep.
portrays Victor Crowley. He comes back and he kills anybody that enters his swamp. The swamp is cursed, and it's a wild ride because it's a lot of camp, a lot of jokes, but
Yeah.
they do have a lot of practical effects because that was one of the cool things. I mean, it's like right on the cover. It's like old school American horror,
Yeah.
and with the special effects. It's very practical effects, not CGI. And it's just a crazy ride from beginning to end.
I think that's a great choice. That's a deep cut.
Thank you.
That's a solid choice for the list. I think that's really, really good.
Thank you. I mean, it's
Yeah.
got, you think about it, I mean, Kane Hodder's in it, Robert Englund's in it, so Freddy Krueger, Jason's in it, Tony Todd.
Icons.
Yeah. Tony Todd, Candyman.
Did you yeah, so like that was the one thing with that movie though. It's like when I saw Robert Englund, like I saw Freddy Krueger. And that's like the typecasting. You know what I mean? Like
Yep.
did you feel the same way?
Yeah. And I think it's one of those things I think they did on purpose. It's
Yeah.
like why not? Like this was a love letter to the horror genre, so
Yeah.
why not have as many people in there as possible,
Yeah.
It's
And
just
I thought
no, go
no,
ahead.
I thought it was really cool. Yeah, no, I thought it was really cool because it's like I'm not watching a Freddy movie. Like I'm not, but that's Freddy. Like there he is. It's almost like it's like Robert Englund didn't make it like a cameo appearance in this movie. Freddy Krueger made a cameo appearance in this movie, and
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I was like, this is so sick.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, they made 3 sequels. I don't think they live up to the original. Like, it's fun. It's fun horror. If you're a horror fan and I'm telling you fun horror, you understand what I'm talking about,
Yeah,
And it's that way. It's fun.
it's fun horror, exactly.
Yeah.
No, great pick, and
Thank you.
definitely deserves to be on the list, guys. If you haven't seen it, definitely go check it out. That's an amazing pick. Well done, dude. Well
Thank you.
done.
Thank you.
Okay, next up on the list. I don't know how too many people are gonna feel about this one,
Okay.
but we are gonna go to the early 2000s, and we are gonna go with a little movie called The Ring. I don't know if you remember the phenomenon that was The Ring. But I love that movie. I think okay, if you take away the whole VHS aspect, I think that movie still holds up. Like if The Ring was on a Blu-ray, that would still be kind of scary right now.
Yeah. I agree. I like The Ring.
You like The Ring?
I do. That's a good pick.
I think it was a great movie. So, guys, you've never seen The Ring. It was a remake of Hideo Nakata's Ring, which is a movie that came out in '88.
Look at you speaking Japanese.
I mean, I did the best I could there. I hope I didn't butcher it. Somewhere out there, somebody is like, "You butchered that name. you that's blasphemous, sir." But yeah, I think it's an amazing movie, and I don't think people remember unless you grew up in that era. Like, I don't know if you remember how influential that movie was. Like that Ring girl, the girl that played like the girl in The Ring, that scene of her coming out of the TV and then walking all weird and like the hair draped over, and it's like that was such an iconic thing at that time. That movie like took the world by storm, and that Ring girl was everywhere, dude. It was crazy.
Yes. 100% I agree. I mean, in a lot of ways, I think of it in a lot of ways like Scream. It kind of brought back, scary horror movies. Like people were really interested in horror movies again once with the success of Ring. I mean, would you agree with that? Like
I totally agree with that. And it brought back a very different type of horror movie because I talk about this all the time. There's horror movies, but there's subgenres of horror movies.
Yes.
Like there's slasher films, there's like thrillers, there's like your ghosty kind of exorcisty kind of stuff, right? And this brought back this was not a slasher movie. This was 100% a movie that was just a very eerie feel from start to finish, and just a very like unsettling type of scary. And that's the type of horror movie that they brought back, and I thought it was
Yeah,
great.
and it introduced a whole like you said subculture of like Japanese horror movies because a whole bunch of them got made after this. The Grudge.
Yeah, The Grudge, yeah, which
Um,
was a remake of Ju-on. So
yep.
yeah, yep.
And there were several other ones too that didn't perform as well, but I mean they were pretty creepy. I'm trying to think of there was one with I think it was Joshua Jackson. It was I want to say Shutter, but that's not what I'm thinking of.
What was the name of that movie? Oh, it's gonna drive me nuts. I'm
Yeah,
gonna text you at like 3 in the morning and be like, I got it. It was this.
I've got it on my shelf. I'm gonna go over there and I'm gonna be like, God, why didn't I think of this when I was talking?
Yeah,
But
but I mean, yeah, it really did kind of bring like these a whole different type of horror movie back into the limelight. And I remember seeing it in the movie theater, and in 2002, I was in high school, so I went to go see that movie with a bunch of friends from high school, and that movie was terrifying. Like, it was terrifying to watch in the movie theater. That first time that girl crawled out of the TV, and you see like the dripping hand, and then like the dripping hair comes out, and then she's like walking all weird, and you're like, oh my God, this is horrific. Like, when will it end? Like, when will the creepiness end?
yeah,
I thought it was just so cool.
so fun story. When I first saw The Ring, I was at a camp and I had to walk back at night from after watching it to my cabin. Like I
Oh
said,
no.
I don't get creeped out very often, but when I'm in like situations like that where I just like watch this movie and then just gotta like walk back to in the dark.
No, that plays with your mind, dude. That plays with your mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, and hopefully your cabin did not have a VCR anywhere in there.
No, made it worse. It was like nothing in there. There was no power. There wasn't.
Oh no. Okay. Okay, that made it worse.
Yeah.
But yeah, guys, if you guys have never seen The Ring, keep in mind the time period to come out in 2002. So the premise of The Ring, it has a lot to do um with this girl kind of being attached to this VHS tape. If you play this videotape and you watch what happens on the movie, the ring girl will come out of the TV and kill you. So it may not hold up today because of the whole VHS aspect. But if you watch it and you go back and you think about the time when VHS was obviously still the thing, just try to keep that in mind. And I think if you keep that in mind, go in with an open mind and just realize that it came out in 2002. It's still very, very scary.
Yeah. Now, how do you feel about the sequels?
Sequels again, it's got the same effect for me as The Exorcist. The original Ring just really hit different. It was something so new and so fresh, something that I haven't seen done that well in a very, very long time, and kind of breathed new life into the horror genre for me. I don't think that I went into the sequels knowing like I'm never gonna get that experience again. That first time sitting in the movie theater, watching her crawl out of the TV for the very first time, that's like a once in a lifetime experience. I'll never experience that feeling from that movie again. So I mean, they're okay. I wouldn't say that they're great, but like I said, it's just nothing's gonna hold up to that original
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah. Agreed. I think they get a little bit more hate than they deserve, though. Like, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
no,
So,
I don't think they're bad movies, but like
yeah.
as you guys can tell, I'm not really like a super harsh critic. I kind of go into things with a very open mind, and then I'm just like, and especially we're content creators, right?
Yeah.
So we kind of appreciate different
The
things that maybe
process.
other people, yeah, the process and how okay, it went from an idea to a script to playwright to storyboards to like, okay, this is shooting and final production and editing and sound quality and special effects and like all the things that go into it. Maybe we just give them a little bit more leeway as content creators, because
Yeah.
we know what goes into the process a little bit there.
Yeah. Agreed. 100%. But The Ring is a great pick. Like,
Thank you, man. Thank you.
It's a modern horror classic. You got to have that on there.
Yeah. Yeah, I felt like it was very deserving. Again, maybe not at the table with Jason Voorhees and Freddy Krueger, but the Ring Girl's in the room.
Yeah, definitely in the room. I would 100% agree. She might be at the counter with the girl from The Grudge. So
yeah, those are your horror room baristas right there.
Yes, love it. Oh, that's good. Okay, so my next pick might be a little bit of a deep cut, but I think this was pretty cool. Orphan.
That's a good pick too.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, this is a good list, dude. I feel like we have like a list of like 20 must-watch horror movies. We should turn that into a thing.
Yeah. Maybe the title. Who knows? See, we're content creators. The idea evolves from
the creative juices are constantly flowing, guys.
Yeah, it changes on the fly. And you get to witness it and listen to it at the same time. So
there's behind the scenes magic. But yeah, Orphan's a great pick, dude. That's a great pick. Why'd you throw it on the list? What do you like about it so much?
I like the twist. The huge twist. Again, we're gonna spoil it for people, but the twist is that these people think that they've adopted I forget how old she was supposed to be.
Teenager.
Yeah, like a 13-year-old girl. Is it what
13? Yeah,
something
12,
like that.
12, 13, something around there.
Something like that. And come to find out, what they've really adopted is a 33-year-old escaped mental patient who has I forget what the technical term is, but she doesn't age past the point of 13 or something, and she's psychotic. Yep. And now I have to admit that I saw the twist coming when I was watching it.
Really?
Yeah, I did.
Well done, dude.
Well, thank you. Just because of the episode of Batman the Animated Series. Remember Baby Doll?
Yeah. Yup.
So I was just like, I think she's got the same thing that she does. And I'm just like, yup, I'm right. But it's a very cool movie. It's a little bit more, it's a little bit of a slow burn at first. It's kind of like they're giving the impressions of The Good Son. I think that's what it was called. Did you ever see The Good Son?
Yeah.
With Macaulay Culkin?
Yeah, the setup takes a little bit to get. I will give you that. The setup takes a little bit longer to get into, but I feel like that makes sense, especially with the twist.
Yes.
You know what I mean, because you can't go full bore into like giving you glimpses of what could possibly be too soon.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
And they didn't want to spoil their twist, and it pays off. I thought it was a really good movie. Have you seen the sequel?
I have not. No.
It's good.
It's good too?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah. It has a twist in it too. If you're going to see it, I don't want to really spoil it for you because it's...
Spoil away, bro. Okay. That's what the people want. Spoil away.
Okay. So the sequel is actually kind of, well, it is a prequel. It kind of shows how the girl escapes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
From the mental institution. And how she gets over to America is that she realizes that she looks like this child that went missing over here, and that she's trying to, emulate it and pretend that she's
fill
this
the empty
child.
Space.
Yeah. So they bring her over here, and there's a brother and the two parents. The father's like ecstatic. The mother is ecstatic too. And then like the big twist is that the mother actually killed her daughter. Or
oh my God, really?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Well, I take that back. She didn't kill her daughter, but the son did. So the girl's brother did, and they covered it up.
That's crazy.
The mother and the son covered it up. So they knew that she was an imposter from the get-go. And
that's nuts.
And at one point, like the little girl's like, she's like, "Is Esther down there?" Because remember that was her name in the original one. That's how she got the name. She's like, "Is Esther down there, like buried underneath this rock or whatever?" and
Oh no.
it turns into like you kind of rooting for Esther.
That's a weird twist for sure.
Yeah. I mean,
That's cool though.
and what's cool, same actress that played Esther in the original, that played the little girl, even though
Hmm.
she's like in her mid-20s now, maybe closer to 30, I think. But with like, special effects, like real effects, not like computer generated anything. Like they really made her
Yeah.
look the same age and same height as she did in the original. I was really impressed.
That's impressive. Yeah, and that's a really creative storyline. I'm definitely gonna have to check that one out.
Yeah, for sure, dude. I think you'll like it. If you like the original, you'll like this one.
Bro, this is a solid list. I'm digging this list.
Me too.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Thank you. One more thing too. They
Yep.
also show, remember like the neon colors that they would show in
Yeah.
the original? They show like how she learned to do that and why she learned how to do that in this one too. So
Oh, dang, really?
yeah.
That's cool, dude. I want to watch it just for that alone.
Yeah. Definitely check it out. It's
Yeah, 'cause
on Paramount Plus, I believe.
Yeah, because I love that in the original. Those neons are sweet, and I was like, how do you do that? Like, I always thought it was kind of cool. So yeah, I'm definitely checking that out. I
Yeah.
have so many movies to watch now. We have so many movies to watch now. This is crazy. But all right, ladies and gentlemen, my last pick. This is the last one I got on the list. And we're gonna go to the newest one on the list. And I feel like you can't have a horror movie list without at least mentioning this movie, as it was one of the most successful horror movies in the last 10 years. And I'm going with The Conjuring.
Okay. Solid choice.
I gotta go with The Conjuring. I think it was another movie like that, like The Ring, where you're just like, maybe the horror movie genre was kind of getting a little sleepy, and this kind of brought it back. And then and you can see it from it sparked a whole series of movies. Like Annabelle came from The Conjuring, The Nun came from The Conjuring. It's like it was so influential that it kind of led to other franchises becoming influential. And it's like that was based on a true story. Like that, just the level of detail that they went to, just recreating all the things that happened. And it's like that was such a good movie. It was so
Yeah.
scary. Yeah.
I agree. It's a good movie. Interesting story. Like you said, it's a little different. They're kind of going back to the. I would say again, like following with The Ring and Scream, it kind of brought back horror again for
Yep.
modern generation. But supernatural scary.
Supernatural scary. Yeah.
You can't go wrong with that.
You can't go wrong with that. And I think they really did a good, so this movie got me it once they were like, this is based on a true story. I was like, oh damn, I need to know. I need to know what really happened. And if you guys don't know about the movie, basically these paranormal detectives there's a family, there's somebody gets possessed, and the story is obviously this exorcism that takes place, but they call in these experts who are the Warrens, and the Warrens are real people. They are real supernatural investigators. And
Yep.
if you go back, and they've done a bunch of interviews and stuff like that, if you listen to the way that they talk about this experience, that I think in some aspects is even more chilling than the movie itself.
Yes.
Is just the way that they talk about the things that happen. It's like, I don't whether you believe or you don't believe, that's up to that's completely up to you. But if you don't believe, the way that they talk about the things that happened in that room, you're like, well, I don't know. Well, now I'm questioning things. You know what I mean? Like they're so believable and so passionate about the things that they said that took place in that room, and I'm just like, that's terrifying. If all that really happened, that is terrifying.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of skepticism towards the Warrens, and especially with the movies that came out. A lot of people were saying, they're full of shit. It didn't happen. Da 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 da. But I always go back and say, like what you said, watching their interviews and listening to how they talk. If they were I think at the very least they believe it, because you don't talk about something like that if you're the laughing stock, or people are
Yeah,
laughing at you, you're making fun of. Like, you don't do that for like your entire lives if you're faking
yeah,
it.
yeah, exactly, and it's like the way that they talk about it, it's you can tell, like you said, like they at least believe it. I feel like they at least believe it. Like you can usually tell when somebody is kind of putting on a front. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
they've been putting on a front for so long because it gets exhausting. You know what I mean? But
Hmm.
the way that they talk about it, it's just like they're very concrete in what they believe happened. Their stories are very they tell the same story every time. There's not a lot of changes from when they tell the story. You know what I mean? It's
Right.
it's a very precise list of events that happen. Also, if you take into account, like, there's firsthand accounts of like the children that were in the room, like the little girl that was in the room. I forget what her name is right now, but she was on another YouTuber's channel that I actually watch. And just her talking about like what she heard from the other room, and like all of this stuff kind of like lines up and makes sense to the point where even if you're a non-believer, you have to at least entertain the idea that maybe this actually did happen. And if it really did happen the way that they said it happened, like that has to be the most horrifying experience you could possibly go through. It just had to be so terrible to live in those moments.
Yeah. And then to have
Yeah.
people not believe you on top of it afterwards.
Yeah, exactly. And then try to, like, get some console and some relief from it, and have people be like, "You're full of crap." You're just like, "Oh my god, this is the worst experience. I've just experienced the worst thing ever and no one believes me." You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I'm not full of shit, I swear.
I
Listen.
I promise it happened. It really happened. You know what I
It
mean? Like,
did. It did.
yeah.
It's
Yeah,
too funny.
but such a good movie, man, and I think it holds up. I think the sequels are, like I said, nothing usually compares to the first one, but I think the sequels are good, and it sparked a whole interest in the Annabelle doll, which again is like
Yeah.
that's a real thing that's on display. I believe at Zach Bagans' museum right now. Like that Annabelle doll is real. Like the Nun. I mean, say what you want, the Nun wasn't a great movie, but it was still horrifying when you were watching it.
Yeah. I mean, the characters is really creepy.
Yeah, 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 it was creepy, and that all just came from a painting that was in, that came from this movie, and you're just like, that's crazy, that like I don't know how many between Annabelle, the Nun, and The Conjuring, how many movies do we get from this experience? Like 8?
I think it's like 10. I think it's a little bit more than that.
Yeah, like 8 or 10 just from this one experience kind of led to all this stuff. It's like that's pretty cool.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I know some people describe it as like the MCU of horror movies.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
and I mean, I know they're coming out with more too. Did you see the Nun too?
I did see The Nun too. Yeah.
What'd you think about that one?
It was okay. I feel like they're kind of slipping there a little bit. I don't. For whatever reason, The Conjuring and Annabelle kind of held my attention more than I thought. When I initially saw The Nun, right, I was like, oh, it's kind of cool. But I always felt like it was just going to be a one off. I always thought they were just going to do one nun movie that was kind of like an homage, like this cheeky kind of like, oh, isn't this cool? We made a movie about this one little thing, and and then it's like, now they're trying to make it a franchise. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I
This
agree.
is a one off. This is a cool one off. A great one off idea. Where I'm like, oh, that's clever. But as a franchise, I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I think the character is probably scarier than the movies in the Nun movies.
Yeah,
Personal
no,
opinion.
I 100% agree with that. Yeah,
Just seeing it, and I mean, especially what they've done with how they've worked the character into some of the movies. Like, I think it was like the second Annabelle movie.
yeah,
I thought that was cool how they did that.
yeah,
With like,
yeah. It's cool.
it's in
It's
a picture.
it's yeah. It's exactly like what you said. It's like the MCU of horror genre. It's like they all kind of have these intertwining paths. You know what I mean? But and I know because I see you post all the time. I know, like, you with me, you're still a theater goer, man. And I'm still a theater goer too. And I like seeing the movies on the big screen, experiencing that moment with like the surround sound, and you're kind of really entrenched in it. There's no distractions. Like when you go to the movie theater, you're not messing around on your phone, or you know what I mean? Like, you're really
Yep.
there to watch the movie and get the experience. Um Conjuring movies, I like to go to the theater. The Nun, I'll wait for stream.
Yeah. Yeah. I can agree with that. I would go with that.
Yeah.
Wholeheartedly
Yeah.
agree with that. That's
Yeah.
but Conjuring is a good choice, man.
Thank you, dude.
Yeah, I think that, especially with like everything that comes with it, especially for this conversation.
Yeah.
It's
The
perfect.
Conjuring umbrella deserves to be on the list, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so my next one is Trick or Treat.
I love Trick or Treat. Dude, you are going deep dives right now. Let's go.
I love a good anthology. I feel it's like something that they don't do so much anymore. Especially with having like all the different stories like tie into each other with characters from the other ones. That's one of the things I love about it most. Plus, I love Sam. I think he's cute.
It's a good, it's a good choice. I like that. I like that call right there.
Thank you. For those that don't know, Trick or Treat, like I said, is an anthology series. It's four stories. I can't remember how many there were. There's like three or
five.
Five?
I think it was five. Was
Between
it?
4 and 5 stories. With different characters, but they kind of intertwine, and like at the end, it kind of all sums up. But throughout it, the main character that kind of ties it all together is this little character called Sam, and he looks like he's at like it's a sack on his head.
Yeah, like Sack Boy. Maybe?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
and he's pretty creepy, and he's featured in one of the stories, and you realize he's kind of like a pumpkin monster, kind of, not like Pumpkinhead, but a pumpkin monster that he wants you to observe the rules of Halloween. And it's just a lot of fun stuff. Like there's werewolves in it. There's
it's so crazy. And the funny thing about it is, like, do you know what that kind of style actually is? It's almost like an homage to like Tales from the Crypt or like Creep Show. You know, you remember? Yeah, so Creep Show, I don't know if you guys know Creep Show, but when Creep Show came out, it was kind of like that anthology series with like a host, like a host with the most, which, just like the Crypt Keeper and stuff like that. And that's exactly what Trick or Treat is. And I think maybe that's why I enjoyed that movie so much, because it just like threw it back to those days, the Tales of the Crypt Creep Show days. And I love that stuff.
I do too. I have all the episodes of Tales from the Crypt on DVD.
Yeah.
It's a great show. So, but yeah, that's on my, it's going to be the last one on my list. I do have some honorable mentions, I guess we could talk about if you're game.
Throw them out there.
All right. I have got The Strangers.
I forgot about that movie, dude. I forgot about The Strangers. Dude, that's a good movie. I have so many movies to watch after this, dude.
I'm glad to help. Yeah, The Strangers was I forget when that came out, but what the scariest part about that is, it's, for those that don't know, it's 3 masked individuals that find their way into Liv Tyler's house. And they terrorize her and her, I think it was husband, fiance. It's been a while since I've seen it.
Fiance, I think.
Fiance? Okay.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things, it's kind of like what we were talking about with Halloween, where it could happen.
Yeah.
And at the end, when they're asked like why they're doing this, why they're causing all this mayhem, they're just like, because you were home.
Crazy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's funny about The Strangers is I don't know if this is accurate, but I always thought The Strangers was kind of like the gateway into like the idea for The Purge. Does that make sense?
I can see that. Yeah, it feels
Yeah,
the
where
same.
it feels the same. Where these characters are just like just causing madness for no reason whatsoever, and that's like that's what's terrifying about it. It's just exactly what you said. It's like, why are you doing this? Because you were home. It's like
Yeah,
the purge is on. We have 24 hours to do whatever we want. Like, you know what I mean?
yeah,
It's crazy.
yeah. I agree. It's just weird. It's one of those things like it could happen, and it's like, ooh.
It yeah, it definitely could happen. Dude, I forgot about that movie.
Yeah. I mean, I
Let's
don't think
go. Let's go.
yeah, the sequel wasn't as good. Did you see the sequel?
I did see the sequel. Yeah, not as good, but
Yeah.
nah.
And they're supposed to be doing like a 3 movies at Netflix. It's supposed to be coming out
They're
soon.
coming out with more Stranger movies.
Yeah. Like,
Ooh, I didn't see that.
they announced it like a trilogy. Like they're gonna do more.
That's ballsy. That's a bold move, Cotton. Let's see if it pays out for him.
Yes. Yes, I agree. So we'll see. I mean, if they can, if they have the same creep factor as they did in the original, could be good.
One's gonna have to be a showstopper. I mean, if that's the problem with signing on the trilogy. If you tank episode 1, like
Yeah. Now, I don't know if they're planning on doing it like the Fear Street movies. Did you see those that came to Netflix?
Yeah, I saw those.
I don't know if they're planning it like that. I just read that it was going to be a trilogy and that it was coming soon. So I don't know, but I enjoyed the Fear Street movies. I thought they did that okay.
Yeah, I thought they did that good.
Yeah. But we will see.
The Strangers, we wish you the best of luck.
Yes. Good luck. Hopefully you got like a couple replacements from the second one, because that you lost a couple members. But next is an honorable mention. 1408.
I love 1408, dude. Cusack is the man in that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For those that don't know, 1408 was a movie. It's based off a short story by Stephen King, correct? Am I?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
It's about a haunted hotel room. 1408. And John Cusack plays a guy that is like debunks haunted rooms, places like that. And so he goes to 1408, but they try to persuade him. That's one of the cool things I like that they showed in this movie, was like they really try to persuade him from staying there. They're like, hey, we got Knicks tickets. But upon staying in the room, he sees ghosts and other entities that not even necessarily died in that room, but just realizing, and now I've come to realize that there have been multiple endings to it.
Yeah.
That have been some, I think it was a different theatrical release, a different Blu-ray release, with different endings. The ending I saw, you said you've seen it. Do you remember what ending you saw originally?
I saw the theatrical, and I actually do have the Blu-rays that has all of the endings on it. So I've watched the movie with all the endings.
Okay, cool. The ending I saw was the one where he's listening to the tape over again, and it's his daughter that has passed that's on the recording, and then his wife comes in and like drops the food or drink that she prepared for him, in shock that she didn't really believe him until that moment. That's really creepy. Yeah,
that's a very, very creepy ending, and I believe that's the theatrical version.
Is it? Okay. So I know overseas had a different one too. And I haven't seen the other one, so I've just seen that one, but I thought that was pretty creepy. What did you think?
I thought it was really creepy. I thought it was a really good ending, and I think one of the things that kind of gets alluded to here, and guys, if you've never seen this movie, definitely check it out. But I think one of the things that kind of gets overlooked here is just how good a job John Cusack had to do acting in this movie, because if you really go back and rewatch that movie, the amount of time that John Cusack is just on the screen alone and just has to convey this story of terror to you, um with no supporting help from anyone else, a lot like Nicholson did in The Shining, where he you just had to feel how this character was feeling, and they had to act in a certain way to like let you into that world without a ton of dialogue and without a lot of things happening. um I think it gets overlooked. I think it gets overlooked how good Cusack did, just really making you feel like you were in that room with him, um during that whole thing. And yeah, just an incredible performance, and I just don't know if he gets the credit he deserves for that movie.
I agree. It's one of the ones that kind of like fly under the radar. Nobody really talks about it a lot. You know,
Yeah.
they very rarely show it on TV, like, you know, the AMC Fright Fest and stuff like that. They usually show the same 4 movies over and over again. 1408 wasn't one of them, like it should be.
No, not one of them. No, but it deserves to be. Yeah, guys, you guys never checked out 1408. Check that out. It's an amazing movie. I absolutely love that movie. And like so creative too with some of the things. I don't want to spoil too much, but like the part, like the painting, and like, dude, there's like trying to escape through the vents, and like, oh, dude, just so many like cool parts to that movie. The whole thing with the window, and you're just like, this is insane.
It's pretty creepy. Um,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, I don't think many people have read the story. So it probably doesn't come up in the conversation of how it compares to Stephen King's other movies and books. You know what I mean? Like people usually talk about
Yeah.
it, and they talk, you know, and Thinner
Pet
and all,
Cemetery.
yeah, and all that. They don't
Yeah.
really bring 1408 up into it, but it's probably one of the better Stephen King movies if you're a fan of his.
Yeah. You know what? I've talked about Stephen King a lot, and gotten a lot of backlash. So I'm not going to bring that to your life. So we'll just say 1408 is great.
Go ahead. I want to hear it. Go ahead. Bring it up. I'm interested. I'm game.
I've always thought that Stephen King was a great writer. He's great at character development. He's great at plot. He's great at setup. He's great at a lot of things. The one thing that he is, just in my personal opinion, not very good at, is closing the story out. I don't know what it is, but I feel like the ending of Stephen King anything is just it's like there's so much character development. You're so invested into these things. Like you're so interested in what's going to happen, and I just feel like the endings always just kind of fall flat for me. And I don't know if you feel that same way.
I agree. I can agree with you there.
You can agree?
I can agree.
Oh,
I'll
bro, you just opened yourself up to a world of hate, and I'm so sorry I brought you into my world.
It's okay. Hey, I'm used to it's what a healthy debate is all about. But I agree with you. I mean, both movies, you know, well, all 3 of them, you know, the original movie that came on TV, and then the 2 that they released theatrically. You know, even the ending, they even, as a joke, they even constantly tell the writer that his ending sucked. That's, you know, Stephen King himself said it to the character in there. It's a joke. He knows. Yeah. He's aware.
I mean, it's hard for me to just wrap my head around how you can be so good at like 95% of the writing process, and that last 5% just always seems to miss the mark. It just always seems to miss the mark. And it's like, and we're talking like great, like iconic films and like iconic books like Pet Cemetery, The Shining. Like we're like, these are all very iconic things. And if you really, really, really go back and look at the endings to these things, you're just like, it could have been better.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
I agree. I concur.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's a valid point. A very good point. So
Yeah, like it sets you up and you're just like, this is absolutely incredible. And then it's like, well, how does it end? Well, okay, we're gonna make this like an anti-bullying campaign where we just tell the monster that like it's stupid and we're not afraid of it anymore. And that's the end of that. Or like Pet Cemetery, like this whole movie is about how you shouldn't bury stuff in this like burial ground. And then how does the movie end? Well, he goes against everything that he has just learned and buries his wife in the burial ground, and she comes back and kills him. Like, dude, really? Like, really?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's just like,
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah. I mean, even the new Pet Cemetery doesn't make any kind of sense. Did you see the one that came on Paramount Plus?
Yeah,
I mean,
I try to be open minded, but that one was bad.
yeah, it had a couple
Yeah.
of scary stuff that like some stuff I could appreciate, but I'm just like, okay, so he went through all this and still recommended to bury the cat
Yeah.
in the Pet Cemetery. Like, yeah, no, I
Mm,
agree. And in
Yeah.
fairness, Stephen
So
King didn't write that one. He didn't write the prequel we were just talking about, but still.
yeah, no, yeah. He did not write the prequel, but yeah, I mean, amazing writer. Just needs a
Little
little
help with
help
his
on
endings.
them. Yeah, it's ABC, bro. Always be closing. Always be closing.
Okay. And my final honorable mention, the Evil Dead remake.
Let's go, dude. Evil Dead sick.
Yes. Um, you know, I may get some hate for it, but the original Evil Dead, while it's a classic, I mean, it is campy, and it was made on a very low budget of $20. But
Maybe $20.
yeah. But and they did the best of what they could, but I thought the remake that they did was one of those rare exceptions where the movie was much better than the original and the story was actually scary and a little compelling. What say you?
I mean, I agree. I agree with you. Now, I love the original Evil Dead movie because, like, for me, that's kind of like that was like my introduction into like the Trauma series, right? So
Okay.
this this very low budget B horror movie, you know what I mean? And it's
Yeah.
like I can appreciate that, but I do think that this is like you said, the rare instance where the remake itself for me was just better because I feel like once they had that cult following, they had a little support and stuff like that. That gave them the ability to get more backing in the budget, right?
Yeah.
So like I don't want to say that it takes, like all good movies take a lot of money, but all good movies take some money.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like I feel like they had a little bit more to play with. And you could see that. You could see that in the remake, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was good.
Yeah, I thought so too. I kind of hoped there would have been a sequel to it at some point, but you know.
Never give up hope, man. Never give up hope. Maybe they're working on it right now. We don't even know.
Well, I do know. I did see Evil Dead Rise. Did you? Have you seen that yet?
Yeah, yeah.
I know that they're kind of like still trying the whole idea of like all the movies exist in the same universe.
Yeah.
With different books. But
they're trying. They're trying for that idea.
Yeah. But I mean, I think Evil Dead Rise did well enough. There's going to be another one soon. So hopefully.
Yeah. No, I think it definitely did well enough to keep the series going.
Yeah. And maybe they'll get that idea, but the remake was very creepy. The special effects were really awesome. I think, the one girl that's like sawed her arm off with the turkey.
Oh, dude, that was crazy.
Yeah. Also, too, just one of the things that always gets me with that movie is they found that book like in a trash bag wrapped in barbed wire with dead cats hanging around, right? And
I mean, yeah, I don't want to dissect the story too much, but I would not have touched that book. I'm just saying, I would not have touched that book.
Right. You wouldn't touch it, but they did. Okay. What would make you read from it? Wouldn't you get like the idea that like, maybe it's not a good idea for me to be reading what's in this book?
I mean, I'm gonna be honest, guys. I wouldn't have made it far enough into the establishment to grab the book. I would not have made it that far.
Yeah.
I would have taken 2 steps in there and be like, nah, I'm good. Like, I'm
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, just kind of like peek into it. Yeah, there's some shit going on in there. I can't.
Yeah, nah, there's nothing in there for us, bro. We're gonna keep trucking.
We got a vacation that we gotta finish.
Yeah.
We gotta get this girl off of drugs. We gotta let's help our friend. Let's go back upstairs.
Yeah, let's just do anything besides stand in this room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe go somewhere else. Like, let's actually take her to rehab. Maybe let's help her.
But yeah, I think it's a great choice, man. I love the Evil Deads. I think they're good movies.
Yeah. I do too. And I mean, I again, not crapping on the originals. I just think that, it's one of the rare occasions where I think the remake did improve upon on it in pretty much every way.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, we touched on it a little bit. I mean, I don't want to be this like bougie moviegoer, but I mean, obviously the first movie was a little. I mean, I might have exaggerated a little bit with the trauma, but I mean, you know what I was getting at. Like,
Yeah.
it was low budget. It was really low budget, and
Yeah.
the success of the first movie, just gave them a little bit more to play with, and I think the budget increase that they got, they used wisely in the aspects that they really needed to kind of make it more of a complete movie. And I think the remake did what it needed to do. We'll put it that way.
Yes. I agree 100%, and I think that is a good place to put a pin in it. That is the last on my list. Is there anything else that popped into your head that we can?
That is it, dude. And I think I'm gonna go out there and say it. I think we probably put together the most concise list of the best horror movies of all time. I mean, what a list.
I agree. I'm
what a list.
I know. I'm thinking about this, and I think this went better than I even had planned.
what a list, dude. This is an amazing list.
Yeah. So
and hopefully there's some people out there that just listened to this episode that got themselves like true horror fans that got themselves like 5 or 6 new movies to check out that they're excited about. So
yes for sure. Yeah, and definitely let me know what you think. Let us know. I'm curious to see what people think. I'm always curious to hear what people think about horror movies. So
oh yeah, I'm always curious. Let us know down below in the comments, wherever I'm sure there's something around here you can yell at us at. Let us know in there what we missed. I always like saying, let us know what we missed, because we get these comments, after we do these drafts and stuff like that, or make these lists, and it's like, oh dang, dude, how did we forget that? You know what I mean? Like you guys, your opinions on what should have made the cut. I always love reading them. So please let us know.
Yes, please let us know. I mean, I'll be honest, I had never seen Hereditary until one of my viewers had dropped it in a comment last year. Like, I did like a top 5 one of my favorite horror movies or stuff like that, and he was like, "Oh, I think Hereditary is." I'm like, "Really? Is that good?" He's like, "Oh yeah, it's very creepy." I'm like, "Okay." And then I checked it out, and I'm like, "Damn, he was right."
He was right. This movie is terrifying.
Yes. Lights on tonight.
Well, I got that one to watch, so I'm gonna be watching that one, and I'm a little nervous for it. I'm not gonna lie. That decapitation scene, I'm recreating it in my head. Right, I haven't seen it yet, but I'm recreating what I think's gonna happen, and I don't know if I'm ready.
Oh, dude, I'm telling you. Yeah, you're in for a treat. So
it's gonna be awesome.
Yes. With that, thank you for being here, man. I appreciate it.
Oh, and dude, thank you for having me.
Oh, dude, you're welcome here anytime. So
yeah, real quick, dude, just honestly, thank you so much for having me, man. It's been a blast. Like I said, I've been a huge fan of the channel for a long time, man. It's awesome to see you do what you do. Keep being you, man. Keep doing your thing, and thanks for all the content. Super appreciate it.
Thank you, man. Means the world. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Again, I'm glad to have you here. Tell the people at home where they can find you one more time.
Yeah, so if you guys like some nerdy stuff, you can check us out. I do a podcast with my good buddy Adam called Let's Talk Nerdy Podcast. We release weekly episodes and a bunch of content throughout the week. So you can check us out on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Instagram, TikTok, anywhere that you have a search bar that you can type in Let's Talk Nerdy. Go ahead and do that, and we will pop up somewhere, I promise.
Very good, man. All right, guys.
Yep.
We will catch you next time. See ya.
Love you guys very, very much. Thank you again. Peace.